Hello, thank you for visiting the Hall Family Home and Farmstead YouTube channel. Today we will be presenting Dennis Upton as Joseph Ellicott, describing his life's work and experience. Joseph Ellicott was an important and well-accomplished man whose life shows the story of an evolving nation towards the end of the 18th century and beginning of the 19th. He crossed paths with many important people throughout his journey, including Warren Hall. His connection is through the Holland Land Company, as Warren Hall bought the land through the Holland Land Company, and in particular, Joseph Ellicott. This video was filmed at our Meet Our Past tour on June 6th, 2021. Please enjoy.
Thank you for coming. Can you believe in this year 1824 they want to send me down the canal, the very canal that I helped bring about to New York City to an asylum? Me? They call me short-tempered, dictatorial. Well, certainly I wanted my way. I wanted to get the job done and get it done correctly. My name is Joseph Ellicott. I want to tell you my story so you can tell my story. I need people who can tell my story, and you have to help me do that. I'm going to start with where I was born. It was Bucks County. It was 1760. I was the fifth of 9 children in a Quaker family. We later moved to Maryland. When we moved, the Evans family that lived right next door to our farm moved with us. They're 5 children because the parents both died. So my parents undertook 14 children. Interestingly, later, 3 of the Evans children married 3 of the Ellicott family members. So we became very close after that. I had a common schooling, I guess you would say. I thought I would be a teacher. I tried that in Baltimore very shortly. That was not successful. My oldest brother, Andrew, was a surveyor. You've probably heard of the Mason-Dixon line, which was something that separated Maryland and Pennsylvania. Well, Andrew had already finished off the Mason-Dixon line to the western end of Pennsylvania. But he needed to do a western boundary, a north-south boundary. He invited me to join him to go do this. And I did. I really liked what we did. That is called the Ellicott Line to this day. After we finished that a couple years later, they needed to settle a land dispute between New York and Pennsylvania on the western boundary. Who was to have Presque Isle? So Andrew and I, we went north. We had to travel into Canada. We had to find the end of Lake Ontario because that was the determining factor of the north-south boundary. While we were going there actually, we stopped and did a topographical study of Niagara Falls. The first people to do that. When we finished our surveying and finding out where the end of Lake Ontario was and went back, we found out that Presque Isle was not part of New York. It was part of Pennsylvania. I started to set out on my own, 1791. Colonel Pickering, George Washington's Secretary of War, needed somebody to travel to Georgia. Now mind you, getting to Georgia from this area on horse that travels 25 to 30 miles per day, and it's over 900 miles, takes a while. I was an outdoorsman. They're letting me live my last day in my tent before they put me on that packet boat to go down. I love the outdoors. That's where I made my life, in the outdoors. But when I was down there in Georgia, trying to settle a problem with the Creek Indians and their reservation lines, I got yellow fever and nearly died. I was able to recover, finish the job, and then my brother contacted me. My brother Andrew was up in Washington, D.C. working with a man named Pierre L'Enfant. They were asked to lay out Washington, D.C. as a new capital. L'Enfant left. I got to take over working with my brother, and the idea of radiating streets was so interesting to me because we didn't do that anywhere. That was just something that later I was able to do in the town that I wanted to call New Amsterdam, but they wanted to call it Buffalo Creek. Why did I want to call it New Amsterdam? Holland had all the money. Holland funded what was going on in our country. Holland funded most of the Revolutionary War. Holland funded France. That is where the money was in the world at that time. There were a group of 4 banks that decided they were going to try and buy property in the United States, and they started in western Pennsylvania. The survey was going pretty poorly there, and they asked me if I would take over, so I did. I took over, and I found out that the land was not good. It wasn't going to be good farmland. It wouldn't be as easy to sell as they might like, because they were interested in buying millions of acres and selling them off in thousands and thousands of acres at a time. So they asked me if I would go up into western New York and try and do a survey there, because they thought they could buy the land from the Genesee River west, 3.3 million acres. And so I did. First thing I did was I started in an area here, what we call Batavia. I went north to Lake Ontario. I went to the boundary of Lake Ontario, and I went down the boundary we'd already found for western New York, Pennsylvania, came across the bottom of New York State and back up. And then I said, we can do this. How do you survey 3.3 million acres? Would you help me a second, please? In 1620, a man from England named William Gunter came up with a chain system. Now, if we did a chain 10 times this way, we would have an acre. If we did it 80 times, we would have a mile. We're going to use this chain and a compass. And fortunately, my youngest brother, Benjamin, was able to make a portable transom to measure 3.3 million acres in western New York. You can come back now. It's not an easy process, but something again started in 1620, William Gunter, England. So we were going to lay that out. Now it's not an easy thing to do. However, they didn't even own the rights to the land. They had to settle with the Senecas. Who owned the land previously? A man named Robert Morris. He also helped fund the Revolutionary War in the United States, but he was running out of money because he couldn't sell his land. So he wanted to sell. So what did they do? The government sent Jeremiah Wadsworth. The natives, about 1,000 of them, gathered at the big tree in an area near Geneseo. They were led by Red Jacket, Corn Planter, Farmer's Brother. In the negotiations, they were going pretty well. Robert Morris's son, Thomas, was there doing it for him. The Holland Land Company sent some observers. See, the Holland Land Company was located in Philadelphia because they had property all over the Northeast. Well, negotiations were going okay for a couple of days, and then alcohol became involved and everything fell apart. In order to bring it back, bribery. The Senecas were given 60 cows. Red Jacket got $600, Corn Planter $300, Farmer's Brother $200, and some of the lesser chiefs also received some money, and they received $100,000 in stock from the Bank of the United States. Acreage, they kept about 200 to 300,000 acres for reservations. When that was finally settled, then I had the job of trying to survey it. So after I had walked to that area, I set up 3 teams. In fact, my younger brother Benjamin led one of the teams. And they surveyed it all. And we had to mark out where was the land good for farming, where were salt licks, what was the good property out there. Because in 1796, the government had passed a law that said if you're going to buy land in sizes like that, you had to have it surveyed to find out what's of value. So when it was done, I went for a whole winter to a place called Ezer Ransom, had an inn. I stayed there and I worked up a report. When I was done, I should tell you what it took us to do this. It was like an army. I had 130 men who worked with me, who were surveyors, draftsmen, cooks, axemen, camp keepers. We took food by the barrel. 270 barrels of flour, 100 barrels of pork, 15 barrels of beef. Equipment, we needed 5 boats, 2 ox teams, 35 pack horses, 100 pair of horseshoes, 200 blankets, 30 regimental tents, 70 falling axes, and 105 pair of shoes. I needed to keep record of what was going on. I needed 6 large folio blank books, 2 grosses of black lead pencils, 1,000 Dutch quills, and 1 gross binding. There were problems. Men would get drunk, men would get sick. It cost the Holland Land Company $70,921.69 to do that survey. One of the things I did at that time, though, there were many rulers, 1-foot rulers in our country. I standardized the ruler that's still in use. I thought, my men are going to go out, we're going to be exact. I never married, my job was my family, and I took it seriously. And the people who worked for me needed to take it seriously. So if they call me dictatorial, I got the job done and I got it done correctly. Holland Land Company had a couple of leaders. They had Theophilus Casanova was the first man they sent to Philadelphia. He was replaced by Paolo Busti. I chose to honor them by naming creeks and towns in this area after them. I wish people would name things after me when I was done. They needed somebody as a resident agent, though, to sell the land. So I applied. 6 people applied. They accepted my plans because I didn't have these grand plans of selling off 20,000 acres, 50,000 acres. I wanted people to come and settle. So I would sell off little bits of land. I would give land for a blacksmith. You needed a blacksmith or you couldn't survive. An inn. Every 10 miles I would have an inn built. A church, a store, because people will come if there are things that are available for them. That was a concept I thought was very, very important. Then problem, how do you move things when there are no roads? Now, to get from Philadelphia to New Amsterdam, that I would like to call Buffalo Creek, you could travel by boat to Albany. You could take a stagecoach from Albany to Canandaigua. Then to go from there to New Amsterdam, good luck, it's a trail. And why did I like New Amsterdam? Black Rock was already in existence. But New Amsterdam, or Buffalo Creek as they like to call it, there was a creek, a swamp on Lake Erie. It could become a port. Shipping could happen. Farmers need to get their goods somewhere. And if we couldn't cut highways, roads of some kind, you had to do something. So somebody came up with an idea of a canal system that would come across the state. I pushed for that. I was on the early board, I was one of the early commissioners on the board of the canal for several years. I had the Holland Land Company donate 100,000 acres to the canal because a lot of it was swampland, not good land. But if you had an area where you could ship, towns would build, farmers would buy land, the property would all start to work. It's a grand idea. Then they wanted me to go into politics, and I didn't like that. I did become an elector for Thomas Jefferson. That didn't take too much time. I did not want to become a senator. I did not want to be a judge. I did not want to be a treasurer. They wanted me to do all these things. And the tensions kept building up on me. And if I got short-tempered, well, that's because they weren't doing it the way they should be doing it, I think. When it was all done, 1821, Holland Land Company said to me, people aren't responding well to you. You need to leave. 25 years I paid them. My bank account at that time, I had $600,000 in the bank. I was a frugal person. I had a home of over 6,000 square feet. I did not have a family. Probably my nephew, or my brother Benjamin, was closest to me. And one of my nephews, in Evans, was very close. So I would leave my properties to them. But you've got to tell my story. They're shipping me today on a canal boat to New York City, to an asylum, because they say I have fits of rage and temper. Who should put up with this people? Not me. Now you'll have to excuse me, I have to pack. I have a boat I need to catch.
Thank you for watching today's video. We all hope you enjoyed it. To find out more, please visit our website, www.hallfamilyhome.com, or visit us on summer Sundays from noon to 3. Please also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for future content. Thank you.